Welcome to the Black Men Experiences. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic, Black women tired of being martyrs, now putting themselves first. Giggle, kind of. So Black women now are starting to put themselves first, right? Uh, when did numbers of modern day special numbers of Black women have not put themselves first in relationships, right? When did numbers of Black women not put themselves first and talking about in education that how smart they are and and looking down upon Black men, especially American Black men? When did Black women ever stop putting themselves first, right? In jobs and businesses and looking down upon Black males saying, oh, look at them, look at the Black women, look at the Black women, they're more educated than Black males. Does that sound like personnel who is trying to have unification with Black males? No, that sounds like someone who has already been by themselves, right? And it's been going for the last probably about 50 dang years, especially around a little bit more than that. But around 1970s is when white feminism started indoctrinating certain numbers of Black women. Uh, and then as those years pass by, and especially when it starts getting close to the Y2K version on that, when it starts going into that early 21st century, it went in hyperdrive, right? The vile hatred from numbers of American Black women, the ones applies to toward the American Black males, not the sellouts and the assemblage. We're not talking about them. So when I looked upon what I was reading about this, and I'm sitting there doing just like this. When I sit reading about, oh, Black women are tired of being martyrs, now putting themselves first, I was like this. Give me a second. Uh, Give me one moment here. One moment here. So the thing about it is that it was hilarious in reading this, right? You like when again did American Black women not put themselves right? Again, I was like this, like, right? And so I'm looking at the word martyr. Let me just look up the word martyr in general. Now keep in mind what I'm talking about. Black women are tired of being martyrs. Now put them themselves first. Giggle, basically, kind of. In general, some definition of martyrs, a person who voluntarily suffers death as the penalty of witnessing and refusing to renounce a religion. Does that sound like that's pertaining to numbers of Black women tired of being martyrs, put themselves first? Do you see how crazy that sounds? Maybe this sounds like Black women tired of being martyrs. A person who sacrifices something of great value and especially life itself for the sake of principle. Well, of course not, because again, how many numbers of Black women differentiate self from Black males? Um, what woman comes close to hearing a certain woman saying that they don't need a man, or how they can do it all by themselves? Does that sound like some person already that was already putting themselves first, especially away from the black males on that? Of course it does. So it's hilarious about the situation when I was reading about this. But this is the kind of stuff that's going on right now more and more. And unfortunately, there's quite a number within American black male that don't get it in their skulls. More, I'm talking about more. There's a few black males who are seeing through this, but there's quite a lot that's not on that. But reading what I was talking about relating to this topic, I was reading this particular scenario on this. It talks about how Olympic medalists lined up for their medal ceremony at the delayed 2020 Tokyo Games. Among them was this particular person who won a silver medal in shot put, standing on the podium with her medal around her neck and fans from around the world tuning in. This person, this Olympic silver medalist, uh, formed her hands above her head and crossed her wrists, forming an X. In a post ceremony interview, this person explained that the gesture represents the intersection of where all people who are oppressed meet. This was personal for this woman as a queer black woman and who also intimately knows the struggles of stigmatization of mental illness. At 25 years old, this particular woman, black woman, that was a silver medalist, shot put at the Olympics, 2020 Olympics, she has carried the weight of racism, sexism, and homophobia, and now she bears the burden of calling those systems out. I'm like, holy, right? And see, again, unfortunately, there are numbers within American black women as a modern day that don't even get it to their skull. The ones applies to, which is quite a number, with few exceptions. When you keep trying to add racism and then add sexism and then add homophobia and then add this and add that, this again is what supremacist does when you hear numbers of American black women sit there and adding all these different issues going on. Yes, yes. This is what they're doing because they said, "Well, look at these foolish numbers of American black women modern day. They keep trying to add sexism in there, and then add homophobia, they add other stuff in there." You like, first of all, racism is a very generic terminology. Racial racism is very specifically, especially anti-black racial racism, is very specifically. But many of them ain't gonna sit there and say that. When they sit there and say sexism, again, they get laughed at. Cause like, what sexism are you talking about? There are women out there within various parts of Podamics culture. There are especially definitely women within American black culture who have sexism toward black males, have sexism toward there are numbers of women within Podamics culture who have sexism toward numbers of men within the Podamics culture, etc., etc. But again, numbers of American black women are used as a puppet to sit there and just say the same silly ass terminology, right? Oh my goodness, racism and sexism and homophobia. I'm talking about when this applies to, right? You say there are people within certain parts of turn lifestyle category. They say certain types of black, gay, lesbians, etc., and etc. And how many of them will tell people, wait a minute now, there are people within certain parts of Panama-based culture within alternative lifestyle categories who've shown racism, hatred toward them, not because they were sitting there gay, not because they were lesbian, not because they were transsexual, not because they were bisexual. They showed it because they were black first. What should be so logical sense. But continuing what I was reading about, they talked about how this particular woman was the only one under this pressure. In 2021, this swimmer and this gymnast, that was a very well-known super greatest of all time gymnast, and his tennis star who was doing great. on that situation, on that. And it was unfunny how, should we say, she has a, should we say, one heritage from a certain Asian country, and on the other heritage from a certain type of Caribbean culture. But you know what? When they sit there and look at her, they saw black, right? And they, how many times they reminded her that they looked at her as a black person, right? And even though they like, hey, but they from both different cultures, not no part of American blackism, but it didn't matter. They looked at her and said, hey, but still categorize you still black, right? And then made them choose which one to call yourself. You're gonna be called American, or you can be called this certain Asian culture, right? And that made people, their mentality go a little bit. People make that can make somebody's mentality go a little bit different, especially at that high level and so much responsibility of they're thinking that she's supposed to go to this next level, and then this the greatness of I'm talking about the greatest of all time gymnast, right? And people know what I'm talking about, right? Situation happened to her, and she had to kind of fall back, right? And how many people came out to her, right? How much racial racism came to her, not because she was a gymnast, but because she was black first, right? And a nerve of some people talking about black women tired of being martyrs, putting themselves first. How many black women were coming after Simone Biles, right, for her hair situation? They were talking bad about her. It wasn't black males talking bad about her. It wasn't numbers of women within the Panamanian culture. It wasn't no Hispanic women, no Asian women talking about Simone Biles. Well, anyway, Simone Biles hairstyle. It was numbers of black women talking about her hairstyle. And then when she got married to the American black male, that wasn't good enough, right? Oh man, she's not in his league. She makes more money than her. I mean, makes more money than him. What is she seeing him? Right. But now watch this. Now, if say for instance, him being he's in the professional football league, ain't top level nothing. But let's say for instance, he started becoming top level, right? And so he got married to some woman within the Panama-based culture. Oh my goodness, do you know how that would sound then to numbers of American black women? Oh, look at him, look at them. When they start getting up there in the football league and basketball league, so they go right to the woman from Panama's culture. You see how they go? The hypocrisy of numbers of black women, man, is just ridiculous on that. But they're allowed to keep doing certain things on that collectively because there's a reason why. Continuing, they talked about how and many other black female athletes were asked about their personal experience within exclusionary athletic associations. In some cases, those questions also come with accusation of race baiting or weakness, all while their white peers speak almost exclusively to their crowd. First of all, it ain't just numbers of white personnel. I don't know where they keep getting this stuff from. Yes, that is primarily, yes, right? The system is founded by who again? Regardless. But the thing about it is, it's like you do realize there is hatred coming from numbers of white Hispanic. There are certain ones coming from certain type of Asian personnel. That's easily shown that, right? But numbers of American black women want to separate themselves, right? Right? But black women, the ones this applies to, they're tired of being martyrs. Oh, I forgot how how silly of certain numbers of American black males, right, who know a little bit about history, right, and researchers, right? Oh, and some things are just almost like infantile level. Who do you think the first type of black athletes were, men or women, that were experiencing racial racism, hatred? People, black males. My goodness, right? I'm not going to go back that far. We'll just stick to the great honorableness of Muhammad Ali, the great of greatness, right? How much racial racism did personnel within various propaganda cultures show him, the ones that did that, right? He was, still had an intelligence about him, good looking black male, right? None slang, wasn't using N words all over the freaking place, right? So he couldn't be pigeonholed in a certain box area, right? Well spoken, right? So, I mean, greatness, right? And how much racial racism that was put upon him. But we're just gonna forget that he wasn't going through that, right? But we're just gonna say, oh, black woman tired of being martyrs. Oh, but the black males, whatever. How many black males present day in certain type of professional basketball and professional football who've been called the N word themselves? Or you within 50 years, 40 years, 30 years? How many of them say they have a losing season or something's going on with them, whatever it is? How many times they've been called some bad racism words? How about college male athletes, right? How many of them been, had monkey sounds and racial racism put upon them, right? But we're just gonna pretend that black women, the ones it applies to, are tired of being martyrs and they now they put themselves first. Oh boy, I'm telling you, boy, I'm telling you, it's something that has been messed off by quite a number of women within quite a number of American black women modern day that something has got in their mentality where they actually think that they're number one. And numbers of them can say continuously destroying hatred, vile hatred toward American black males, and American black males supposed to predominantly just supposed to sit there and go into protection mode, when numbers of black women get reminded. They crazy, right? I don't need no they don't need no, man, right? They don't need to depend on no man. They can do it all by themselves. And then people turn around and be like, oh, black women turn around collectively. Oh man, oh, black women are the least protected. Something's wrong with quite a number of black women, talking about the ones it applies to. It's like an insult to the ancestors of the black women that will look upon this nonsense that these modern day black women are, and they will look at it with disgust and embarrassment, right? You're talking about the 60s, wasn't a long time ago, by the way, people. That was less than 100 years ago. When black women are still in segregatedness communities, segregated parks, right? Segregated buses that was still going on, right? Segregated accommodatingness, accommodations, right? Couldn't stay to any neighborhood they want to stay in. You see where I'm coming from? You think black women was talking that nonsense then? We're tired of being martyrs, being put on themselves first. They knew better than that bullshit stuff, right? KKK wasn't caring about them being black women as far as talk about hear me roar. They be like, oh, Negroes, right? So continuing, right? I was gonna read some other stuff about this, but I'm not. I'm just gonna go to the ending part because they start bringing up how some of these other women in certain type of other sectors and how they will be looked at and as an example, this one particular one says, as one of the few black women in her field, she's expected to solve the problem of inclusion with a minor fraction of resources. Uh, Traditionally we are taking on the job, especially at work, of educating those around us and trying to create a more equitable space. Of course, right? Black women, oh my goodness, getting messed over by certain areas of work, certain areas of business, and then thing with the DEI, right? Diversity, inclusion. I mean, diversity, equity, and inclusion, something like that, right? And again, who they look at? Black women, especially in black males, right? And you sit there and say this, it's like they playing the same silly ass game. Same thing with affirmative action. Even though affirmative action was for people within the predominant-based culture collective to help their asses out first. DEI, like affirmative action, is a different level, which is primarily to sit there and help out numbers of women within the predominant-based culture and other numbers of women from other different areas, right? To get their situation situated. But they, for some reason, well, you know why? Well, to ones who don't know, well, anyway, on that, but the ones who do know, right? DEI was just another game plan, right, to allow numbers of women within high parts of predominant culture to get a little bit more, right, and however other different women within certain other culture to get a little bit more. They know what they do and stuff, right? And then with like some black women might get a little bit of, try to get some out of that. Oh, DEI, but and none of the black women still haven't caught on to that game yet of being used on stuff. So the last part of this, they talk about black women are done being the world's muse. Do you see how that Hold on. Well, let me read this again. Black women are done being the world's muse. You see that? They didn't say a region or certain parts of states. They said black women are done being the world's muse. So you're talking about billions around this planet. And half of that would be half of those billions. What is it? 8 billion, 7.5 billion, 8 billion, whatever it is, close to that. And so half of that is going to be women within legalness age bracket, should we say, right? But this say regardless. So that many billions. And so black women are done being the world's muse, right? Tiny ass speck, a tiny speck of demographics relating to the black women in the United States. And you compare that to world. Do you know a speck of the speck of the speck? That demographic of women's demographics will be compared to the world. But I'm telling you, the delusion is very strong within modern day American black womenism. One applies to. They really do think they're all of that, right? And at the bottom of the damn list socially, bottom of the damn list of how people look at them, bottom of the damn list dating, right? And then we'll blame the black male about that, right? Because you got to blame somebody. But at the same time, they say, wait a minute. Well, black men are deadbeat, even though the majority of the black males pay child support on time. Well, black males, they just want to go out there and have sex with different kind of women, even though black males stayed the majority in relationship with black women. You see how that stuff go? It's all a game. It's a nasty, disturbing game. And unfortunately, a certain number of black males that allow this to keep happening. The game's being put upon them as the black males, with few exceptions that know the game. But it talks about how seeing highly visible black women reject this expectation of martyrdom. I already read some of those definitions of martyrdom. Obviously, none of them would fit the nonsensical definition of what numbers of black women think they're tired of being martyrs, right? Martyrs. Seeing highly visible black women reject this expectation of martyrdom has been revolutionary across the board. Oh my goodness. So highly visible black women reject this expectation of being martyrdom has been revolutionary across the board. I'm telling you, the delusion is very strong. They talking about how this particular black woman made a decision in 2021 to reject a hard fought for tenure offer from her alma mater, and instead joined the faculty of this particular HBCU. In a statement about her choice, this particular person wrote, at some point when you have proven yourself and fought your way into institutions that were not built for you, when you've proven you can compete and stay at the highest level, you have to describe that you are done forcing yourself in. Oh, but at the same time, but they were, according to what I was reading, but at the same time they were sitting there fighting. No, they were this is when they want to reject a hard fought for tenure offer from her alma mater. But they were sitting there fighting for the tenure part, right? Oh, it changed their mind. I'm just giving an example. I'm giving an example. So they said her decision sent shockwaves through academia. It signaled what many have known to be true. Black women are done being the world's mute. So one ass black woman who was sitting there fighting this particular alma mater, which is unfunny because this alma mater, right, was a certain ground zero-ness, along with this other well-to-do Ivy League school, where a certain number of Asian personnel, the ones applies to, were talking about how basically black folks basically getting these schools, these very well-to-do schools because of affirmative action, right? But apparently, you don't hear no black woman talking about that. The disrespect it is how certain numbers of Asians who have the audacity, the ones supposed to act like that they are the smart. There's no other black men or black women are smarter than none of them. They go to these Ivy League schools and some of these other colleges too. You see how the messed up part of that? But you got numbers of black women that ain't thinking about that reality, right? So but this is the hilarious of this. So, and the decision sent shockwaves. You like, so one ass black woman who decided not to go from a predominantly uh, Anglo college to HBCU because she stopped. I ain't gonna sit there and keep fighting for tenure at that the predominantly college that's filled with more Anglos. So because she stopped and decided not to keep pursuing that tenure there and went to HBCU, that sent shockwaves around academia. Boy, I'm telling, the delusion is very strong by numbers of black women. 900,000% of people can give a damn about what black women talking about, right? But it's funny how numbers of black women don't talk about the black delusionary ass stuff collectively, where numbers of black women, what they do, right? So they talk about how this person's talking about how we have watched our grandmothers and mothers work too hard. We've watched the stakes be too high for them to pause and take a break when needed. But now, when we have the room to say no, this request is beyond me. We are saying no. We are taking back our right to be human. Well, about to be, we are taking our right back to be human. I guess the black males. Oh, well, cause heck with them, right? More American black males better wake the hell up and realize that the American black woman collectively today don't give a damn about black males. They are trying to get theirs first. And unfortunately, there are some simpish ass black males that haven't got to their skull. That black women collectively modern day don't care about them, which is a whole different topic in itself that continually messes up collectively a lot of black males who are tied into their what they do for a living, their businesses, a title. And it's like, without that, then who are they? Whole topic in itself. So this was to me, it was a slight interesting on this particular topic because the delusionary is very strong among modern day American black women, right? Like this topic, black women tired of being martyrdoms or martyrs, not putting themselves first, as if again they have never put themselves first, especially for the last 50 years. What I'm getting at, modern day, but especially in the last 25 to 30 years, they've definitely been putting themselves first and look at black males as nothingness. And even though it's when black women, the ones applies to, was talking about how they so educated, and that was busted, not bust that nonsense up and show black males this is educated as them and stuff like that. When they kept talking black women, the ones I'm talking about, hatred, vile ass black women toward the black male, the ones it applies to, talking about how educated they were, and they sit there and show, I'm sorry, the money part where they kept talking about how black women make all this money more than black males, and that stuff was busting debunked left and right and showing black males, especially as they get older, man, just beyond was making more money than black women, right? You see this game they keep playing. And unfortunately, because it's been so ingrained within numbers of American black males to not get it through their skull, the American black woman does not care about most black males. They only want to use American black males or black males regardless as this financial nest that is it, or additional financial nest. And unfortunately, quite a number of American black males haven't got it through their skull because it's a very difficult thing to accept that the black women of old is not the black woman, or the black woman of now or not the black woman of old. They're about themselves first on that. I thank you for tuning in to the Black Men Experiences.